This presentation is brought to you by Arizona State University's Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability and a generous investment by Julianne Wrigley.
So let me speak now directly to poverty. Poverty is speaking to us, whether we are listening or not. Poverty is speaking to us whether we are poor or not. Whether we want to acknowledge the claims that poverty and inequity make upon us, those claims make themselves felt in a multitude of forms. We know that we are facing a time of destabilized ecosystems. These predictions about destabilization are uniform, even though the rate of change is debated. Destabilization is a physical phenomenon, but it is also a moral and a political reality. The consequences of unstable and collapsing ecosystems will be droughts, will be floods, will be lost lives and livelihoods. And here I've seen the work that GEOS does in the website on climate change in Arizona. Good stuff, but deeply depressing. Destabilization is not just a physical reality, it is a moral and a political reality, and we have to deal with it at those levels as well. Destabilization will hurt the poorest and the most vulnerable first. It will hurt the elderly, the children, and the poorest of the poor first. But like canaries in the coal mine, we ought to be warned. They are only first. It is illness to think that we can somehow float through the mechanics of wealth or technology, that somehow we can float on a sea of detritus like that. It cannot happen. Additional exposures will transcend race and will transcend class. For example, public health officials predict particularly virulent viruses. So the combination of economic deprivation and environmental degradation create an expanding loop of poverty and environmental devastation. And the challenge we face is to slow growth in that loop. And the only way to slow growth in that loop is to recognize these problems as part of a single, unified problem. For many of us, the point of entry into the study and appreciation of sustainability has been through the environment and the momentous environmental challenges we face. However, today's environmental reality is powerfully linked with other realities, and these include growing social inequity. We must now mobilize our spiritual and our political resources for the transformative changes that must take place on all three fronts. Some of you may know who James Gustav Speth is. He is the renowned dean of Yale School of Forestry. He wrote, he wrote first describing the challenges to sustainability in terms of ignorance about the natural environment, inadequate education, and the overwhelming availability of data. He says we have so much data that we can't take it in, we can't stay current, we don't know what we don't know, and there's too much of a resounding answer in the form of data. So he says, and I quote, "I believe the solution to all three difficulties is to refigure them into a single problem." This is the School of Forestry speaking. The core of this unified issue is that living nature has opened a broad pathway to the heart of science itself, and that the breath of our life and our spirit depend upon its survival. It's wonderful to hear a scientist speaking the language of spirit. And honest scientists, I maintain, must confront that. He says to grasp and discuss this fundamental unified core of the problem in spiritual terms is essential to sustainability because we are on common ground, says he, and the fate of creation is the fate of humanity. E.O. Wilson, another scientist and Nobel Prize winner, says we have a long way to go to make peace with this planet and with each other. And so many of our scientists as well as activists have told us repeatedly we cannot address the problems of Earth and ecosystems and remain deliberately blind or indifferent to our relationships to other people. Resolving these issues will require equity, acknowledging and resolving at last a lingering heritage of inequality that has left some communities and some people lethally exposed to hazardous waste and toxic conditions. Building sustainabilities with resilience and the capacity for adaptation means that we must clean up some of these lingering disparities.
This presentation is brought to you by Arizona State University's Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability for educational and non-commercial use only.